Okay, so we're going to talk about ratios or fractions that give us a remainder. So if we have 4 over 3, okay, that would end up giving us 1.33 repeating. Or we could say 1 1/3, okay? Well, let's talk about using long division to talk about how do we get 3 into 4. So that would be 3 into 4. All right, well, 3 into 4, that would give me, goes in 1 time. That would give me 3, which would give me a remainder of 1. And the way that I would write this correctly would be 1 1/3. I would take that 1, it would go to the top, and it would be over 3. I would go back to this number right here and write it, and this is how I would write it correctly, right? Or write it as a number to where it's not like a repeating decimal, okay, so that I could give the exact answer. All right, well, we're going to do the same thing with a polynomial, okay? So if I take a polynomial, let's say, for example, and we're going to start with an easy one. Let's say we have 20t squared minus 5t, and we're going to add plus 4. And we're going to divide that by 4t squared minus t, okay? We want to know, what does that equal, all right? Now, in terms of going long division, so I'm going to say 4t squared minus t, and that's going to be into 20t squared minus 5t plus 4, okay? Now, 4t squared minus t is not going to go into 20t squared. It's going to go into 20t squared minus 5t, and it's going to go in 5 times, not 5t times, 5 times, because 5 times 4t is going to give us, let me do a different color, 5 times 4t is going to give us 20t squared. 5 times negative t is going to give us negative 5t. Now we're going to switch my signs because that becomes minus and that becomes plus. So that's going to be 0. Well, I've got to bring down this 4 here, right? That 4 is going to be there. Or rather, that's going to be 0 plus 4. So that's going to give me a remainder of 4. Okay? Well, 4t squared does not go into 4. So just like I would write that 1 1/3, I'm going to write my answer, this division, is going to be equal to 5 plus 4 over 4t squared minus t. And that's how I would write that. And then also, t cannot equal 0, and let's see, I believe t cannot equal, that would be, let's see, that would be t times 4, let's see, 4t squared minus t is equal to 0. That's going to give me 4t squared is equal to t. Divide by t, that's going to give me 4t is equal to 1. So yeah, t cannot equal positive 1/4. Those are the two values that t can't equal. If t equals 1/4, it would be incorrect, right? Now, let me go over one more problem like this, just so you can see, because I think it's important. And on the next problem, I suggest that you pause the video once I write it down so that you can see if you can do it on your own. Let's say I have the problem 3d squared minus 4d plus 13, and this is being divided by d plus 3. Okay? Pause the video and see if you can do it. And then come back and see if you get it correctly. And I'm going to continue and do it myself. All right. Now, d is not going to go, d plus 3 is not going to go into 3d squared. It is going to go in this term here. It's going to go in there. It's going to go in 3 times, 3d times. 3d times d is going to give me 3d squared. 3d times 3 is going to give me 9d, and that's positive. Now, be careful. Here's where you're going to potentially run into mistake. We're subtracting this, so all my signs are going to switch. So if that's negative and that's positive, that's going to become minus. Okay, that's going to cancel. This is going to become negative 9 minus 9 is going to give me negative 13d. I'm going to add 13 here. Now, that's going to go in minus 13 times. Okay? Now, negative 13 times d is going to give me negative 13d. Negative 13 times 3, so 13 times 3 gives me negative 39. Now, just like before, all my signs are going to switch. So that's going to become plus, that's going to become plus. Okay, that's going to go away. So 39 plus 13 gives me a 52. So my remainder is 52. So to write this, I'm going to say 3d minus 13 plus 52 over d plus 3. That is my simplified answer. And it would kind of gets a little fun to check it. Like, let's say I want to check to make sure I did it right. So we're going to check. So we're going to say 3d minus 13 plus 52 over d plus 3. And we're going to multiply that by d plus 3. Okay, so that gets kind of fun and tricky, and I'm not going to do that in this video, but that's how you can check it. All right, hopefully that helps you in terms of dividing polynomials with remainders, and I will give you the answer key on the other questions just to help